Great morning. You're listening to the podcast, She Who Believes, and I am your host, Vivian Bell, and I am indeed She Who Believes. Well, happy February. Yep, I said it. Today is February 1st of 2024. And I don't know about you, but January was absolutely an amazing start to this year. And I am just excited and anticipating all of the things that are coming in this year that God has planned in this year for us. And I hope that you're excited as well. Well, as always, we want to thank you guys for listening, for following us, for being here, for entrusting us to just speak to you about faith, about stretching your faith, about asking God big and believing Him for bigger. God is really a great God. This month we're talking about love yourself whole. Love yourself whole. So I know that usually during the month of February, we are discussing love and relationships, and we are absolutely going to do that. But we're going to start with talking about our relationship with ourselves. How does that equate to faith? Well, until we 100% can believe that we are exactly who God says that we cannot walk out His purpose for us in this earth in the way that He intended for us to. So yes, we can do things. We can have positive effects. We can absolutely do purpose-filled things. But it's a whole different ball game when you embrace who you are and you know and understand that you have not only the power, but every resource of heaven at your disposal. You absolutely have it at your disposal. There's a scripture, and for the life of me at the moment, I cannot remember where it is found, but in the Message version, it says, let me tell you what God said next. He said, you are my son, and today is your birthday. Tell me, what do you want? Do you want the continents? And it went on to say how at the end of asking that question, God said, you can keep them or you can throw them out with tomorrow's trash. That's the Message version of it. But basically what it's saying is that as a son of God, and I want to break that down a little bit. Sonship is not saying that God is not blessing male or like females and males. That's not what that's saying. But back in Bible time, the sons received the inheritance, right? And during that time, they didn't really recognize women the way women are recognized now. However, when Jesus came on the scene, He said that He was going to pour out His Spirit on all flesh, sons, daughters, old men, young men. So God doesn't discriminate, right? But it was written in the language of the time. And in that time, being a son was important. And so He said, you're my son. But being a son and under sonship was important because it was saying that you inherited the promises, right? You inherited what was the Father's, right? So anyway, He says, basically, He was letting us know in that verse, you belong to me. And when you belong to me, I want you to ask me for things, the continents, like ask me for territory, ask me for just big things. You know, sometimes we have been taught just in good intentions, I believe, in the past of how basically, I know that for me anyway, I'll speak for myself personally. We were brought up to believe that you basically, without them saying it in these words, but saying it, if you're a Christian, you can prepare to just be poor and broke and destitute because that's how Jesus lived on the earth and we need to be just like Him. That is the furthest thing from the truth, because if Jesus was broke, He wouldn't have needed a treasurer and people to keep His money, and He got people bringing Him big time gifts. I want to say that in my terms. He had people bringing Him big time gifts as a baby at His birth. So He was not broke. He was not poor. He has never been. He never will be. Heaven will not be bankrupt because you asked God for something big. What if God was just waiting for you to acknowledge His love for you, to accept His love for you, and to accept who He says you are, and to actually operate and stand in that? And so what does that look like? That looks like us being good to ourselves, being kind to ourselves in our thoughts, but also in our deeds, and then also in our conversation with God and our expectation of Him in our lives. God loves so much. Like it tells us that God so loved the world, not just the people who found favor with Him, not just the holy ones, or those of us who, I don't even say those of us, because I'm not really in that. Anyway, I'm about to digress. I'm gonna stay focused. He didn't just pick a group of people and say, I came to die for the saved. Because if he came to die for the saved, like, he wouldn't need to save us if we could save ourselves, right? That's a redemption right there. I can say that. That's a redemption spiritually, and it redeemed me from what I was about to say. But God loved so much that he gave his only begotten son. And he required that his son take on all of the sins of the world. Are you not in the world? You might not be of the world, but are you not living in the world? So he came and he literally loved so much that he came and he died, shed blood to redeem you back to himself. What a great love. And we shout about it for our salvation, but we don't shout about it for our living. We don't shout about it for the abundant life that God came to give to us. I want to help you with that this month. Here on the podcast, we're going to talk about loving yourself whole, loving yourself to the place where you believe that you are exactly who God says you are. And then you walk in that with his power and with all of heaven resources backing you. That sounds crazy, right? Well, that's how he says that the things that he does, like, we can't even fathom them, right? We can't even begin to think, ask, or imagine for the things that he has prepared for us, right? But he also said that he's given us the mind of Christ. And he also said that if we ask him, he'll give us wisdom liberally. God also says that if we ask, he will show us great and mighty things that we do not know. I believe that's God exposing to us his heart and his mind. And he's saying, if you come in and you seek me, and if you can really embrace that you are my daughter, my son, you will begin to just seek me. He says, seek me and you'll find me. And it's not because he's lost, but if we start to seek him, we're going to find him in everything, including inside of us. We're going to find that these big dreams and visions and all the things that God has given to us and all the things that we feel like we can't let go of, the businesses that's in there, the art gallery, that thing keeps coming back to me. It came to me last night when I was preparing to share for just a few minutes with the ladies about a ministry that our first lady asked me to be in charge of. But that there's art galleries and there's talents that we sit on because we fail to seek God and find us in him. God isn't saying that it's an impossibility for us to be holy or blessed or any of those things. He literally said that he made us in his image. So this month, we want to encourage you to reflect the image of God in all that you do by first embracing that you are who he says you are, the loving you, the you that you are now, with an expectation that you will continue to become the you that God created you to be without condemning yourself, but embracing even the things that you got to lay at the altar for God to correct. You got to embrace those things. They're there for a reason and for a purpose, not just because, oh my God, I'm this horrible person and I need to give this to God. No. Why is it there? Seek that thing, dig for it, but love yourself whole. And that means love yourself enough to stay on the potter's wheel and let him spin that thing, because perfection is God's business. Like, it's totally his business. And I thank him for that. The more that I've embraced this truth, I can thank God for the fact that he says that the work that he started in us, he's going to continue it until the day of Jesus Christ. And he said that he'll make us perfect. And that means all along the way, we just keep leaning into him, keep seeking him. He's going to perfect us. And I believe a part of that is perfecting our vision of ourselves. I'm going to prove it to you all month long. And I pray that you'll come along with me and love on yourself. Love yourself whole. Love yourself whole. We're starting today by believing what God has said about us. So I want you to drop in the comments if you're listening, if you're on a platform where you can shoot comments or click that button that says voice recording and send a live voice recording, and let us know what it is that you are choosing to embrace about yourself this month that God has shown you. Share with us the things that you are laying down, that you have found purpose in, even as you walked through and came to a point where you had to accept that you needed to lay it down and let God heal you from it, or let God show you why it's there and how he wants to use it. Jump in, talk to us, Tell us how we can pray for you, because we're here for it all, as my daughter tells me. She says, Mom, I'm here for it all. And she's been here for it all, her and my son both, from day one, like literally when they I started writing the first book almost 8 years ago now. They were here for it. They have shown up for every single thing, not because I'm their mama and it's like, oh, we got to believe in you, but literally when I tell you, my kids have rolled with me through sacrifices, through hard times, through ups and through downs, and they have helped me love myself whole. And even in this last season of my life, my adult children have spoken things back into me and said things to me that it's not just something I poured into them, but like they're at a place where they can speak. Not that they didn't before, because I don't know, God puts 2 little prophets in my house that will tell you the truth. But they've spoken things back to me. So shout out to them, to Sierra Cherie and Christopher Rashad. Thank you both for loving me. Thank you both for I'm blessed to be your mom. I'm not even sure yet why God allowed me to be your portal into this time side of life, because you both are 2 amazing souls, blessed souls, called for greatness in this world. And I have been reminded of God's love through you every day, because I said, if God saw something in me to allow me to be the portal to the 2 of you, then I got to find that girl, and I got to live her truth, and I got to live her purpose. And so thank you guys for being who you are, for existing, and I'm excited about your lives. So anyway, I love y'all very much. I love those of you who have just rode along with me, who's prayed for me in this last season of my life. I've been silent about a lot of things at my learning of trusting God to, one, be silent and trust him to fix it, but at his direction. And left and right, there have been those of you who have reached out to me that have just said, hey, I want you to know I'm praying for you. And God led me to pray like this for you. And this is how I've been praying. And it's just been a great reminder of God's love for me. And it's given me the strength to keep doing what I do, which is to be on this podcast, to counsel people, to coach people, and to embrace that I am exactly who God says that I am. So thank you all. I want you to know that I'm praying for you. If you're listening to this podcast in 2024 or 3024 or 3030, it doesn't matter. Know that you've been prayed for. Know that there's no mistake that you're listening to this podcast, and know that God absolutely has a plan for your life. So dare to trust him, dare to believe him, dare to pray, dare to ask God, and ask him big and believe him for bigger. Because again, he's promised to, basically in the Vivian Bell version, blow our minds and knock our socks off with what he has in store for us. So until next week, you've been listening to the podcast, She Who Believes, and I am your host, Vivian Bell, and I am indeed she who believes. God bless.